Hello, I'm David Church, GIS developer at the Centre for Longitudinal Studies, where I've been working since 2013. I'm going to talk briefly about three aspects of the process of geocoding the birth cohort study members' residence to address level. Firstly, some of the research benefits of address level geocoding. Secondly, the types of datasets that can be linked to at the address level. And thirdly, some of the challenges encountered during the data linkage process. Up until the last 6 months or so, the most granular geographic identifier was postcode centroid. However, beginning with the COVID-19 web survey, it has now become possible to locate study members using their full address, which basically means the coordinates of their homes instead of the coordinates of their postcode. In extreme cases, the difference between these 2 points can be up to 3 kilometers, but on average, the difference is around 100 meters. This can significantly impact certain types of environmental research, for example, when assigning air or noise pollution exposures. This is quite a busy slide, I'm afraid, but it's an attempt to visually demonstrate the increased accuracy of using address level coordinates instead of postcode level coordinates. If you imagine the red dots as a regular 20-meter grid of air pollution values, the large green dots as postcode centroids, and the smaller black dots as individual residences, then it's hopefully pretty clear that linking the 20-meter air pollution values, the red dots, to the individual homes, the black dots, is going to be more accurate than using the postcode centroids, the large green dots, when doing your data linkage. Another important benefit of linking at the address level comes from the ability to move away from arbitrary aerial units such as wards and lower super output areas, LSOAs, rather use custom-made neighborhoods that have more real-life meaning to the lives of the study members. So, for example, rather than calculating how many fast food restaurants fall within the study members' LSOA of residence, we can use their home address to construct network buffer zones based on, say, 10 minutes walking time from their home, and calculate the number of fast food outlets that fall within this more meaningful area. An important element of the data linkage process is accuracy. We want to be as sure as reasonably possible that the data we're linking to is actually the correct data. It turns out that around 3% of the cohort members across all of our studies have been allocated to the wrong LSOA due to the difference in location between their property coordinates and the postcode coordinates, resulting in quite a number of homes falling outside the boundaries of the LSOA they've been allocated based on the postcode coordinates. This map shows part of Sunderland chosen completely at random, and the black dots show properties that have been allocated to the wrong LSOA, quite often right up against the boundaries. This is actually quite a significant problem because, for example, the LSOA is used as the major building block of the index of multiple deprivation research, which uses the IMD, of which I've seen quite a lot during my time at CLS, will suffer from up to 3% misallocation. If you're, for example, if you're working with Suite 1 of the Millennium Cohort Study, that will mean that over 500 cohort members will have been allocated to the wrong LSOA. Working with address level data eliminates this problem and ensures that the data linkage to LSOAs and other aerial units is as accurate as possible. This is a list of the most important datasets that can be linked to at the address level in the context of cohort studies research. The Land Registry data is available monthly from January 1995, and the energy performance data is updated quarterly and is available from 2008 onwards. And the points of interest data goes back to 2005 and is available quarterly as well. The EPC data is a very rich data set and includes useful data columns such as the floor area of each property. As you can see, the coverage is quite comprehensive, over 75% of properties in most areas. The data in this map have been clipped to the boundaries of Camden Local Authority, which is why areas to the north, east and south don't have any data. An important recent development with these data from a data linkage perspective is the inclusion of the UPRN, Unique Property Reference Number. The UPRN is a persistent identifier included in the OS address-based product, which is the reference dataset for geocoding in Great Britain. Having this identifier in an external dataset greatly simplifies the geocoding process. Perhaps the most frequent request I've received from researchers is whether and when geographically linked data from the earliest sweeps of the cohort studies will become available. So the first sweeps of the 1958 National Child Development Study and the 1970 British Cohort Study. We hope to do this. It is technically feasible, although time-consuming. I have obtained geo-referenced OS mapping covering the period 1946 to 1995 for all of Great Britain. Since postcodes didn't come into wide usage until the mid-1970s, it will be a case of matching on addresses, in other words, the house number and street name, with a lot of manual work using these maps. Finally, having outlined the major benefits of doing data linkage at the address level, I'm going to mention some of the challenges I've encountered along the way. Firstly, the OS address-based data are not currently freely available, so it's necessary to make a case for access to the OS research unit to request these data. Secondly, since these data are not fixed in time, there may be some issues with reproducibility and or replicability. Houses, of course, are continually demolished and new ones built, and the address-based product is continually refreshed on a 6-weekly basis. I request an updated data set once a year from the OS, since we do not need to refresh on a 6-weekly basis. That would be far too much work. Thirdly, there is still patchy uptake of the UPRN in non-OS datasets. In fact, the energy performance certificate data is currently the only major dataset I'm aware of that makes use of this important persistent identifier. So it then becomes necessary to geocode using a single field address, which, while effective for the bulk of addresses, necessitates a certain amount of fuzzy matching using address locators in ArcPro. Finally, and this is hugely important and probably deserves at least 10 minutes on its own, the need to preserve cohort member confidentiality is paramount. We are not allowed to deposit raw data based on study members' addresses at the UK Data Service. In fact, we're currently prohibited from even depositing data sets based on postcode level geolocation. So any research outputs based on address level data would need to be aggregated or otherwise masked before being deposited. Another possibility which would enable external researchers to work directly with these highly disclosive data would be to allow them to work in the UCL data safe haven, which is where I do all my work with the geocoding and the address level data. I've included some links to the main data sets that I've linked to along with my contact data. Thank you for your time.